Hello everyone, my name is Rafael Fernandez and I'm with the Mortgage Calculator team, and this is our Shortcomings and Wishlist video for BreazeHome 5.0. Our team is made up of Carlos Lores, Felipe Zuniga, Ledian Nunez, myself, Rafael Fernandez, and Rafael Leal. The first thing we're going to be looking at is our shortcomings. Initially, we had a few ideas that we wanted for this project, but it being a summer semester took away a couple weeks from us that we desperately needed. From the user's perspective, we're going to look at a couple things first. The first thing is going to be amortization. What amortization is a breakdown of your monthly payment for a mortgage. So if we look at, for example, Zillow. In Zillow, you have a mortgage calculator very similar to ours. However, if you click the full report and scroll down, I've opened it here for our convenience, we can see the amortization schedule. Essentially, you can see for one type of payment, you'd be paying a significant amount of interest. And this is important for us as most of these types of websites are centered around selling homes and improving the market. However, there aren't very many markets or websites that are dedicated to the consumer. So what if you're trying to buy a home? What if you're trying to make the best informed decision? These types of tools are not catered to those kinds of things because you have to click through several links just to find out that you're paying 60% of your payment is interest. So those types of things were very important to us. Additionally, we'd like to know the impact of the interest on the loans, and we'd like to specify that on certain loans. For example, on our BreazeHome calculator, if we go to the mortgage calculator tool, we can see that we have an interest-only calculator. This would happen if you were paying only interest on some duration of your loan. Essentially, this is the same concept as renting. And for a lot of consumers, while you still own the home, there is a certain benefit to that. However, we'd like to make sure that it's abundantly clear to every single user. So including some benefits to interest-only loans could be something that we need to include in the future. Lastly, we'll look at from the dev's perspective. And from the dev's perspective, we had 3 items. And that was specifically having to do with the MLS API. Defining the architecture and the resources was my responsibility. I'm familiar with this in knowing that the MLS API provides the information we need, but doesn't always do so in the way that we'd like. So I think some areas that it could use some improvement are filtering the data, changing how the data types are cast. In our case, numbers like the homeowners association fees make sense for it to be an integer, but instead it's usually cast as a string or some other data type. And lastly, we'd like to add some kind of secondary validation to make sure that certain specific fields are sent appropriately every single time to ensure that there's no errors on the user side. Next, we're going to look at the wish list. We have a couple items here on the wish list, and on the left hand side we're going to talk about the users, and on the right hand side we're going to talk about the devs. On the left hand side we're going to look at 2 different loan types, the ARM 7.1 and ARM 5.1. These are varying interest loans that we felt the user could benefit from. However, the algorithms necessary to calculate these usually have to do with interest rates being projected out many years, and this isn't information that we knew how to calculate, nor did we have the time necessarily. So we think that this would be a good feature because sometimes home buyers don't have the option of getting a fixed rate mortgage. This is all they can do for a couple years and then refinance. Second, we'd like to change the styling on the mortgage calculator page. If you see here in BreazeHome, we can go down, click a listing, and what BreazeHome does is it uses the card structure. Essentially, you see you have small circular square areas that have the relevant information related to the listing agent or say our mortgage calculator. For the most part, everything is segmented into cards, and we think that the whole site could benefit from making these kinds of improvements to these features. Going back to our presentation, one thing that we could do as a developer is to create a consistent and standard main navigation. In looking at the features that are currently presented in BreazeHome, we see something up here that's a a bit concerning and very inconsistent, and that is the lack of standard navigation. The navigation bar is up here. It provides access to several features, including the English-Spanish translation, the user profile. However, it is not consistent across the entire navigation. And if we go to the home page, we can see here's a completely different list of links that are inaccessible when you're within a listing or when you're within your user profile. And we think that this is something that is fairly standard and something that could be implemented over the course of one semester. If we see here, BreazeHome implements Bootstrap. And as you can see, Bootstrap has a variety of already implemented schemes, colors, and features with a significant amount of examples to make this a possibility. As we can see, there's several things in here. There's toggles, there's drop downs, there's disabled links, there's search bars. All the features that a proper navigation needs. So we can see, for example, if we reference Zillow again, Zillow has this consistent nav bar across the entire time where you're able to track your progression through. And in UX design, that's called the breadcrumb ideology, where you're able to easily see your progression through the website deeper and deeper into different pages. So this is something that BreazeHome could definitely benefit from, and we feel that a team could probably do this in one semester. Second would be to break up large controllers such as details.js into components. So we're going to go back to BreazeHome very quickly, and we're going to look at any listing. If you look at all of this amount of data that comes through, all of this is loaded onto a single JavaScript file, for the most part, I should say. All of these features, actually, with the exception of two directives, including chat and the mortgage calculator, are loaded into every single file that they're needed in. And what this causes is a tremendously bloated JavaScript file. And any good developer will tell you, especially with JavaScript, if you're going over 300 to 500 lines of code, then you're doing something wrong, because you're breaking the idea of modularity. And this file is well over 2,000 lines of code. So it's important for us to realize that many of these features could be separated into smaller JavaScript files and included into the details.js controller. And this way they're loaded dynamically. It's easy to work on individual features when they need improvement, so you'll see less merge conflicts. You'll see less errors across the entire site. You'll see if one person makes a change to one feature, it won't damage, it won't have anything to do with any other features. So these are the kinds of things that we think BreazeHome could benefit from in our wish list video. And specifically the two items for the dev, we feel they would not only be extremely efficient and effective, but very necessary and doable in a semester. So lastly, I wanted to say thank you from the Mortgage Calculator team. We hope that you enjoyed using our product, and we hope that in the future you are able to come to improve it and improve the overall system in areas that we, unfortunately, due to time constraints, could not this semester. But we know that the folks coming up are pretty great students, and we know you'll knock it out of the park. Have a great day.